Hey everybody, it's Mr. Minton. Just checking in from my classroom from quarantine, and just wanted to say a shout out to everybody and see. Hopefully everyone's doing well, and hopefully you can brighten the mood with a little bit of math humor today before you dive into your week 3 learning project. I've uh, I've invited to join us your favorite math substitute teacher, Mr. Mintoni. How you doing, Mr. Minton? I'm checking in from the road. Uh, I'm playing my gigs when I'm not doing my substitute teaching, so it's good to talk with you. I hope every one of your class is doing well on quarantine. And well, what do you got going on today? Well, you see, Mr. Mintoni, I was thinking, the class is kind of probably a little down in the dumps because they haven't been to school for so long, and they've been really missing my high quality math instruction in person. So, I would lighten the mood a little bit by telling a few math jokes, and I needed someone to tell them too. So I figured I'd just give my old buddy Mr. Mintoni a call and run these math jokes by you before I present them to the class. That sounds like a great idea. So yeah, just let me know what you got. Okay, sure, Mr. Mintoni. It's weird though. You kind of keep changing rooms, but let me start from the top. I found this on the internet. Um, why was the fraction apprehensive about marrying the decimal? Uh, I don't know. Because he would have to convert. Get it? Decimal to fraction, convert. That's pretty lame. I promise, Mr. Mintoni, they're gonna get a lot better. So how about this one? Uh, why do plants hate math? Uh, I don't know why. It gives them square roots. Isn't that a lot better? That one's pretty good, huh? That's terrible, Mr. Minton. I don't think you should use those jokes at all. Those are like some of the worst jokes I've ever heard. Okay, last one. This one I promise is it's the best one I've got so far. Why should you never talk to Pi? Because like your jokes, he'll go on and on forever. So this one's kind of a hard one for the week 3 math 2 question. But of course, there's the lesson and page it's on, and it's actually stuff we've covered before. The formula looks a little foreign, but it is still that is a quadratic equation there. And helpful to the discussion of this problem, I think, is an exploration about what all the variables mean. So, and even what's occurring. Basically, you've got, let's say this is a stoplight, right? And you're all familiar with a stoplight. And at the stoplight is this car just chilling at the stoplight. And if you were looking at this car, it's waiting to go until the light turns green. Now the car is stopped, at the stop line of the stoplight. Behind the car is the bus. So I find pictures sometimes help. So here's the bus. And the bus is moving along, but the car is stopped. So the bus is moving along at a speed of 15 meters. It's 15 meters a second. Now speed, and this is maybe something you'll start to get into physics class. Speed and velocity. Where's the velocity here? Velocity are essentially the same thing. If I'm going 60 miles an hour, that is my speed. If I'm going 60 miles an hour, that is my velocity. But acceleration and speed are different. That is to say, acceleration and velocity are different. So in this problem, it says, let's see here, the acceleration in meters per second squared. And it gives you some information about that, right? The car is stopped at the stoplight. It's accelerating at a rate of 4 meters per second. The bus is moving at a constant speed of 15 meters a second. So let me put this in different terms. If I was driving in the bus going 60 miles an hour, and it's going 60 miles an hour the whole time, the same speed, for 1 hour, I'm actually not accelerating any. I'm staying at a constant speed. If I go from 60 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour, though, I will have accelerated. So if the speed is constant, the bus acceleration is 0, whereas the car acceleration is 4 meters a second, at least until it reaches a particular speed or velocity. So I hope that makes sense and how those are different. Acceleration is going from is increasing, or it's a changing dynamic, whereas speed is a constant. I'm traveling at 60 miles an hour, but I'm accelerating to 60 miles an hour when I put my foot on the gas. Oh, and this line is to like indicate, I guess, the crosswalk where the car is at a stop waiting for the green light. So let's see. Now let's dive into the various variables meaning. D, right, is the distance from a point. DO, right, this is the starting point. V, of course, is velocity. And hopefully that explanation about velocity and acceleration helps. T stands for how much time. And A is the acceleration. So we know, right, let's also define some other things, right? Our starting point. Our starting point is the light, right? And we're going to call this 0. 0 distance. How far has the car traveled at the light before the car takes off? 0. So the starting point is 0 meters. The bus, it tells you, is 7 meters away from the car, right? So from here to the car, or we could even, from here, let's say, to the crosswalk. I know it's we're kind of splitting hairs here, but this is 7 meters. So the bus is 7 meters, but the bus is moving, right? This is moving. The car has not moved yet. So the light turns green. What is the velocity of the car sitting at the stoplight? Well, if it's not moving, it hasn't accelerated yet. At the starting point, right, the car is traveling at basically 0 meters a second. So I'm gonna remove the problem prompt in a second, so we can just start diving into this problem. So let's dive into the distance of the car, and here I've copied the formula from the problem. Well, if we know that DO is the starting point, where is the car at the starting point? It's at 0. And then we have to add velocity times time. Well, we're at a 0 velocity times time, and then it's traveling at 1/2 times acceleration. The acceleration is 4 meters a second, and t squared. So this is going to simplify to, well, 1/2 4t squared is 2t squared. And the distance of the bus, well, we just established that if this is 0, the bus is, 7 meters behind. the car. So we're going to say its starting point is not 0, it's -7. So -7 plus, it has a velocity, right? Its velocity was 15 meters a second. So v times t would be 15 times t. And I'm going to do something now. I'm going to change all the variable t's to a different color just to help with your understanding, because I know myself personally, when they start adding the letter t along with pluses, it's easy to get confused. So there you go. I've made all the variable t's in red. So the question is, well, when will the bus be at the same place as the car? And to be at the same place, we would have to basically set the car equal to the bus. Well, you actually have two equations, one for the car and one for the bus. So the first step in this problem is, set the two equations equal, which I've given you. So set the two equations equal. Manipulate them algebraically so that you have a quadratic equation equal to 0, and then factor that result. After you factor the result, the zeros of the equation, you could also use Desmos, right, to find those zeros if you are unable to factor the result, are going to reveal to you two things, right? One of them is going to be the time the bus passes the car. And then the other zero will be when the car, because the car is ultimately going accelerating at a rate that will make it pass the bus eventually, when the car then passes the bus. If you get all through this and get that far, you can then also plug the zeros in to these. Plug the zeros in. Let's plug zeros in to these equations to determine the total distance covered. Right, this is going to determine time. Right, number 4 is about time. But then, well, in that time, how much did the car and the bus travel? So I hope that makes sense. Good luck. I know this is a kind of a hard one, and I'll be appropriately kind on the grading. So give it your best shot, and I want to see some work. And this is right from our textbook. It's review. I know the problem's a little hard, but the concepts we've definitely covered in class. So good luck. And please email me with any questions, and I will respond very quickly. Thank you.